Hello, welcome to a new style of content, but one that's going to become pretty familiar to the channel, commentary. I have done this in the past and on many occasions, but I haven't kept consistent with it. Especially recently, I got really bad for it. Like all I've been doing is just posting clips off of my Xbox and maybe even combining them every now and again. But you haven't had my voice in a while. You haven't seen my face in a long time. So yeah, I'm gonna still do gaming videos, but I am gonna try and commentate on them, um, on more of them. And you might be asking yourself, what's the inspiration for starting commentary videos up again? Well, the inspiration comes from this email, that one, which is an invite to the Plymouth Motor Club to do commentary for them in May 4th and May 5th. Um, for that hill climb event. So yeah, I'm gonna be doing that in May. I'm hoping to be invited to more commentary events. So if you are watching and you have an event that could do with some commentary, I'm free to do some commentating. I've retired from F1 league racing for 24. I might come back in 25 potentially. If I do, you'll use what you lot will know about that. But I am still going to commentate on F1 league racing. My Forza Motorsport league racing, I am going to be driving in it, but I am also going to make videos, like, you know how recently I've been doing videos where I just show the clips that I have from it. I'm going to do that, but I'm also going to do commentary over the top of it, to improve my commentary experience, improve my presentation, have more critiques so that I can improve more, and generally just have more time, more learn stuff out of commentary. So um, let's roll with this, shall we? Let's talk about the Formula One, with Liam Lawson, two races into his Red Bull career, and he's been let go for Yuki Tsunoda for the Japanese Grand Prix. Now that's only extremely cruel and vile, but the Red Bull, like AlphaTauri, I don't think they've had the same driver lineup since 2021. I think, wasn't it? Yeah, because in 2022 they had Pierre and Sonoda, and then it's not even Sonoda that's been changing. It's been the other seat. Pierre Gasly left, then came along Nick De Vries, then came in Daniel Ricciardo. Then Daniel Ricciardo got sabotaged in Singapore and sent to the Gulag for Liam Lawson. Then oh no, Daniel Ricciardo broke his hand. Liam Lawson replaced him. Liam Lawson was then kicked for Daniel Ricciardo. Daniel Ricciardo was then kicked for Liam Lawson. And then Liam Lawson got sent to Red Bull, and Isaac Hadjar came in. And now Liam Lawson's back at AlphaTauri in Yuki Tsunoda's old seat. What could be now? Even though the name is just as close for being the most confusing thing in that team, the driver situation is, as you've just heard, very, very confusing. As someone who's about to do their GCSEs, working that out should give me a grade 9. Quite frankly. I don't know what, Helmut Marco's, I don't really understand his decision process. I feel like if he's making driver moves like that, you know, is he part of the Ferrari strategy team? Because they're very knee jerk reactions that are just very quick, but you know, they like there's action taken, but there's not a lot of thought put into why that action's being taken, which is always a bit of a strange one, in my own opinion. I It would make sense to give him a bit more time. Maybe it would have just made sense to put Liam in the car in the first place. Like, I know Nick De Vries was a hot property at the time, but even when he was fired, you couldn't have put Liam into the drive at all. After Nick was fired, instead they put Daniel Ricciardo in, and then and then he was based practically Helmut Marko was forced to put Liam in the car. Liam did decent. Then Daniel was put back in, but then they got bored of him and just I was like, all right, Liam's cool. It's essentially they try to prove the public wrong, or they try to prove the media wrong by saying, "Oh no, Daniel's gonna do good, Liam's gonna struggle," and then Daniel struggled, and Liam then replaced him, which was correct by the media, and Red Bull essentially just went, "You're right," and it's pretty much the same thing here with the Red Bull situation. Red Bull saying, no, we don't pick Yuki Tsunoda, although he's got 100 million years of experience. He's got 3 years of experience, my bad. 4 now, actually, including this year. He's had experience since 2021, Yuki Tsunoda, and Red Bull essentially say, no, we don't want that. We want a guy with 11 races of experience, because that would just work, wouldn't it? So, although they were asking for a Lewis Hamilton type situation where he can get in the car and do well, unfortunately, not everyone is that level of skill, that level of stepping into a new environment and just being comfortable straight away. Some people have to make themselves at home in this sport, and I feel like Liam Lawson hasn't been able to do that, and it's really cost him. It's cost him a lot. I think if he was given the drive after Nick de Vries was fired, then it would have helped him a lot to develop and grow as a driver before he was put into a position like this where he had to perform at the top of the top in Formula One. But besides that, what else has been happening in Formula One? Cadillac got accepted into the sport, which is quite cool. Rumors about their drivers. Who are they gonna be? Well, it's a bit of a tough one, to be honest, but I have thought of a name. I'm trying to think now of some people who could potentially fill that seat at Cadillac. Because although someone who we know from the Formula One grid would work, having a driver who has already worked around Cadillac in some sort of way would really benefit them, because it will be almost like recency bias for them. They know the driver, so they could develop the car to suit their strengths. That's why I'm thinking, right, tinfoil hat goes on right now. I don't have any tinfoil. Headphones are falling. Got to improvise. That is the tinfoil cardboard strip. The tinfoil paper hat, right? That's going on because let me cook up a theory. Cadillac in the World Endurance Championship, they have recently partnered with the Hertz Team Jota Squad, who are based in Britain, right? Who is one of their drivers who used to compete in Formula One? Will Stevens. Perfect fit to go to the Cadillac. He knows Cadillac well enough to be able to fit around them and to work around Cadillac and know what their targets are. They know the management. They know they know the environment that they're in at the moment. So Will Stevens would be a great fit, as he has experience in F1, but he has a lot of experience in Cadillac as well. So if he went into that team, it would be a very comfortable situation for him. His second driver, the second Cadillac driver, is a bit of a tough one, because obviously they're going to have someone who's quick and someone who's good at racecraft in the midfield, able to work that. They need some good racecraft, essentially. And me thinking junior wise, like F2 wise or something like that, if Red Bull isn't the path that Arvin Lindblad wants to go down, Cadillac might be a good place to go for him if Arvin Lindblad doesn't get a drive in RB, in the Toro Rosso racing balls, whatever it's called, or in the main Red Bull team. If Arvin Lindblad doesn't get a seat at Red Bull and is almost forced to the sidelines, I reckon he'll try and get that Cadillac drive. So it could be a situation of Will Stevens and Arvin Lindblad. But if Lindblad gets that seat at Red Bull, that's making this prediction a lot harder, if I'm honest. Because although Will Stevens has experience in F1, he doesn't have a lot, because the only experience he had in F1 was in a Marussia, which, to put it lightly, it's not. It's like trying to. It's like It's like the hypercar versus a GT car. They're a bit similar but different. Oh, very different. Like there's going to be an obvious difference between a Marussia and a Mercedes 2020 car, isn't there? Like, or even the Mercedes 2015 car that was competing with them that season. It's going to be very different, isn't it? Because where did they finish in the standings? Mercedes on top by a country mile. The only person who can match him was Sebastian Vettel, while Marussia were falling like my headphones. So I reckon Will Stevens will definitely need experience on his side, but he'll also need some sort of PR guy. So my head's turning to Valtteri Bottas. I know Daniel Ricciardo, people are saying, but I think Ricciardo's done with F1 now. I think Ricciardo probably can't. I think it would be a baptism of fire for Ricciardo if he tried F1 for a third time. I think, purely because it's just like it was harrowing to see him at McLaren and at VCarb, and it would be harrowing to see him at Cadillac and struggling the way he was then. So Valtteri Bottas is someone who has arguably the same amount of like good humor, good fan base, good publicity. Like he did an advert for Uber Eats or Deliveroo, whichever one it was. When you're doing adverts for companies like that, you've got the crowd on side, in my opinion. So the Cadillac lineup will be Will Stevens and Valtteri Bottas, in my opinion. That's probably going to be completely different, but we'll see how it goes. Also, the World Endurance Championship, on that subject, they're getting ready for the 6 hours of Imola at the time of recording this on the 29th of March 2025. And Will Stevens, what am I talking about? Qatar in WEC. That is something I want to talk about, because the Cadillacs running into each other, that was pain in, because I'm a massive fan of Jota. Like, I started watching, I watched a bit of WEC when I was growing up a bit, like 2014, 2015, 2016. I'd hear like WTF1, they do a few videos on it, and then I'd see something else, and there'll be like a few little hints of it. But I didn't start watching it properly till around 2021, 2022 type time. So, and back then I'm a big fan of LMP2, right? Like, it's the most frantic class in endurance racing, isn't it? It's almost like the F2 of prototype racing, but in some way it's cleaner because they're not going for dive bombs, and it's also better because they're not breaking down every 5 seconds because they don't have mechachrome. So that's one to take into account. But Jota in LMP2 were always fan favourites, and then they've joined the hypercar scene as a privateer for Porsche, which was always a popular factor. So how could we possibly make that more popular? Oh yeah, we chuck him in with Cadillac, another fan favourite. Perfect little merge of the two brands with this. I don't know why, it's just so nice to see Cadillac and Jota together. It just works so well. Like, the only thing I can imagine it working better with is United Autosports. If they made a hypercar program, that would be something to watch, because I need to see Jota versus United, an old LMP2 rivalry going up again into the higher hypercar tier. That would be something cool to watch. So United, if you're watching, where's the camera? United, if you're watching, that would be something to watch. Anyway, um, what else is there? The Valkyrie is slow at the moment, but it has time to develop, has time to get to grips with work and get into life and work. But I've had a lot of hype around this car, and quite rightly so. It's a naturally aspirated V12, and the I feel like this car has had a pretty big impact with that whole V10 debacle at the moment with the FIA, who are, I don't know if they're actually considering bringing back V10s, or if that's just some sort of PR gimmick to get the WRC controversy down. But the V10 thing of using essentially what Sebastian Vettel has been promoting, using sustainable fuels in V8s, V12s, like V configured engines, to help the environment but keep the engines of the cars, and essentially stopping us from going to electric power, because at the moment Formula One can't do that until 2039 due to Formula E essentially saying that you can't. So what I think I'm a big fan of the Valkyrie for that, if I'm honest. Like if the Valkyrie doing what it's doing now on sustainable fuels, if it's able to do that and able to promote the fact that cars with those beautiful engines can be run to modern day environmental and economic sustainability, that's a game changer for car enthusiasts. Because ask ask many of the old gen F1 fans and even some of the newer gen ones, ask them what are the best cars in F1, and 90% of them, I can guarantee, will say a car with a V12 or a car with a V10 or a car with a V8. Some car with some loud engine. I think the only real like proper turbo cars that fans might say would be potentially the W20 or the W11 from 2020, the Mercedes W11, or maybe like the Lotus 980 or the McLaren MP4, MP4-4. Like maybe some other cards that I can't think of at the moment. Nicky Lauda's card, there we go, that's another shout. Um, Gordon Murray's fan car as well. Bringing fans back into Formula One would be a great shout. It would. I think I know Ground Effect was brought back in 2022. I reckon they should have probably gone for a fan. I know it sprays debris and it sprays dust into the path of the other cars, but the tracks are cleaned, and the tracks are cleaned with like little like sweeper machines. I forgot what they're actually called, but they're little almost like golf carts with like sweepers on them, and they spin round and they clean the track. So as long as like I don't see why they couldn't use a fan if they really wanted to. It would be, and it would make the cars also an absolute completely different beast to handle. But it would be great to see the drivers put up to that task of trying to handle Gordon Murray's like genius. Because in a way, I feel sorry for Gordon Murray, because he came up with a brilliant idea, and then that brilliant idea just got thrown to the woods and never brought back again. So it's a bit of a shame. But yeah, I reckon if if that was done for a regulation change for say 2030 or something, I don't think it would be that unpopular. In my opinion, that would make the cars, it'd be a completely new challenge for the drivers, and it would shake it up. The team's getting used to it, but I reckon we could still have the lightning fast, like record breaking laps of the kind of late 2010s, early 2020 era of the turbo hybrids, but we could also still have, the kind of the struggle to handle cars from like the late 80s, the early 90s type cars. So we could kind of have that old school kind of handling back, but in a very modern scenario. So, like imagine a fan car with the naturally aspirated V10, in it. That would be like what would get the fans watching those beasts go flying around. Like, imagine a fan car with a V10 engine going through turns 9, 10 at Australia. Imagine the picture of that. A car with insane amount of downforce screaming around those two corners at eye-harrowing speed. It would be, or neck-harrowing speed for the driver, because his neck would probably be like over in West Yorkshire by the time he's got out of that section. But yeah, so that is a shout. But yeah, so that I'm going to terminate the broadcast here. But I'll be back to talk about FEC, the Forza Motorsport League that I have been competing in recently, and the league that's about to go to season 2. So I'll catch you in that broadcast. See you there.